Previously on the Tony Kornheiser Show.
Yeah, right. And as we said yesterday, the ingredients in Chuckles are pretty much sugar.
And sugar as
right.
an added ingredient.
On top, I love how it's congealed sugar, and then it's little crystal sugar on top.
Fantastic. Nothing's better than chocolate.
You'll be happy to know that your Sky Bars...
Not real chocolate.
Ingredients, milk chocolate.
Oh, okay. They don't taste as good as they used to, but nothing does.
Yeah, it goes on with a lot of things I can't pronounce. And then, which should be used as adhesive in all buildings, Mary Jane's.
Mary Jane's will take your fillings out. You chew on a Mary Jane, everything's flying out.
This is General George Washington, and you're listening to the Tony Kornheiser Show.
And welcome to a very special edition of that show, live from Chatter, at the corner of Jennifer Street Northwest and Wisconsin Avenue Northwest in Friendship Heights. As right outside the window is a giant crane truck that apparently will be jackhammering all day long. Michael, you said that Karen said all day yesterday jackhammers?
Confirmed.
So this is great. This is even better than leaf blowing.
That's good.
We're getting into leaf blowing season.
Yeah,
it's really good.
Leaf blower's got nothing.
It's really good. Gary Braun is here.
Scaffolding up. People love that.
Chris Saliza is here. Michael Kornheiser is here, festooned with gifts. Bill Isaacson is here, which makes me happy. Nigel will run the board.
Sitting at the adult table today.
Yes, he is. Nigel will run the board. Nigel will do news. Bill Isaacson, who is, are you officially a producer of the Gary Shandling? Are you just part of the Gary Shandling show at this point? The tribute to Gary Shandling that Judd Apatow did. I mean, you're in it. You provided material for it. Yeah, you're critical to it.
I'm in it, and I'm the executive of his estate. So when it's the Zen Diaries of Gary Shandling.
It's on HBO.
The diaries are from the estate.
So but you provided without that, it's just Gary Shandling.
Right. There's no Zen diaries.
Right. So good for you. Let me start with some mail that we got today. I got a loyal little. It looks like Frank Gorshin. I'm not sure. Frank Gorshin used to be an entertainer, a ventriloquist, and a comedian. On today's show, which means the other day, you claimed it used to be that all baseball cards had statistics for every year of players' careers. As you can clearly see from this card of Tony Nobody in 1956, Ed Fitzgerald, a catcher for the Nats, this is not the case. Visit your local card shop in Silver Spring, and I'm sure Bill Huggins, please don't read his name on the air, will treat you right. So it is true that you can see, Gary, you can see that.
I do remember a time, though. My father and I I collected baseball cards my whole childhood, and there was a time. That one has sort of a picture cartoon on the back.
Every stat the guy had.
But I do remember that in the 80s, certainly, they had all the years.
Well,
I do remember that.
This is 1956.
Yeah, that's a very old It's a fraudulent card. It claims to be 56, yet it says Washington Nats. Everyone knows they weren't in existence until like last 12, 15 years.
Boom.
They were the Washington...
Pants on fire. Yeah. Good job, Gary.
Okay. Dear Dr. Bootsy's grandpa, Hoff Waff, I'm a 27-year-old millennial living in Portland, Maine, by way of Burlington, Vermont, and Washington, D.C. As a graduate of the American University, a former resident of 20015, refugee Safeway shopper, purchaser of numerous cases of beer at Calvert Woodley, and former server at the full-service for-profit restaurant, which was then known as Chad's. Almost every episode serves as my personal David Aldridge moment. I can certainly attest to the connective tissue that is the Tony Kornheiser Show. The reason I'm writing, I was hoping to get a birthday shout-out from my dad, Steve, who will be a man plus 12 on April 21st. My dad was the one who turned me into a little all the way back in the national ESPN radio days, and the show is a central topic of our conversations now that I no longer live in Vermont. This would actually be my dad's second shout-out on the podcast, although the first by name. He was on the receiving end of a lacheserie in a public bathroom on the Amalfi Coast last fall because he was wearing a TK Show hat, his birthday gift last year. If you could wish him a happy birthday on the air, get the gang to sign this Reginald-themed birthday card, I would be definitely able to cement my status as the favorite masculine child in the Offenharts family. I should add that I'm the only masculine child in the Offenharts family. This is from Jack Offenharts, who says, P.S. Any tips for convincing the woman whom I'm related to by lease to come to a taping of the show when we visit D.C. next month? She drives a Subaru and enjoys cruises, but other than that, she's a keeper.
12 years a man, his dad.
That's right.
Tell
With
her
due respect to,
tell her about Nigel in an Indochino suit.
That's right.
That's right. Anybody in the door.
From Bob Favisak, who is sitting way back there in the corner. Dear Mr. Tony, a friend of mine recently started a children's clothing company called Oliver and Rain. It's oliverandrain.com. They have some really nice baby clothes, so I asked him to send me a box of that, and he did. Please accept this tribute for baby boy Bootsy.
All right.
Michael and Liz and all of your listeners can check out the location at oliverandrain.com. Thanks for many years of laughter and fun. Michael, can you report what we have here?
These are beautiful, and they actually look like they're the correct size for Bootsy, who happens to be
huge,
about 6 months up in sizes
Boom.
currently.
Yeah.
So this is a little puppy dog
That is
onesie.
cute.
Very nice.
Ooh,
Very
it's the
nice.
romper style for the season.
Very nice. That's very nice. All these things for Bootsy.
It's a short pant.
It's actually really nice looking
Thank you,
kids'
Bob.
clothes.
Thank you very
Yes.
much.
Thank you very much.
nice.
Let me start with, I think, and I'd like to get to this right away. I was watching, as people know. Well, two things happen. One, I take the dog out. I take Chessie out at about 5:30 in the morning. And as we are coming back at about, 5:50 in the morning, as we get to our street, four deer come
Fearless.
scooting
They're
out
fearless,
of
man.
the front yard of the little house.
That's called an ambush.
Four deer,
That's a gang.
and the dog wants a piece of the deer, which is a tremendous mistake.
Yeah, it's a bad
The dog
matchup.
settled for a piece of a cat later on, saw a cat and began howling and growling and all of that. But four significantly sized deer come out of the little house. Now, usually when they come out of the little house, they're eating all the tomatoes because we never cover the tomatoes with netting.
No tomatoes
But we
yet,
haven't planted tomatoes
or
yet.
they've left a child.
A child.
behind.
One year they left a child
Yes.
near the garage of the little house.
Deer child, to
Wasn't
clarify.
fast
A deer child, not
Oh,
a
I
feral
thought a
child.
human.
No,
DEER.
yeah, and a deer child. And so I don't really know what their purpose was, but it was reconnoitering, obviously,
Yeah.
for something down the road.
They're testing the perimeter.
And yeah,
you know?
and then I get in the house and I go back and forth between Sports Center and the early morning news on Channel 4. Late breaking story at about 6:52 this morning on Channel 4. Naked man assaults two customers at DuPont Circle Metro Station. Nigel, do you have anything more on that?
No, it actually says at least two. So
At
I
least
think,
two.
So I think this is now developing.
Maybe we could get a pool going as to how many. What's
Send
the
out the
over-under?
I team.
And they say the assault happened at DuPont Circle Metro Station around 6:13 this morning.
Late and reported because we got it about 6:52.
Yes, and he was tased after he attacked.
All right.
Don't tase me, bro.
Don't tase me, bro.
Why? He was completely naked.
Completely
What?
naked.
Why?
Well, isn't it Naked Thursday?
It
Hats
is
off
it
Thursday?
is forecast to be a very warm day.
Yeah.
But it's not warm
Flip-flop
yet.
day for
Maybe
me.
it was
It's
out
not
for a
warm
run.
yet. Right. It's still early in the morning. By the way, I was thinking when I saw the deer, I was thinking of maybe they would make me an offer on the little house.
Yeah.
Because what do they care that
was a
it's uninhabitable
pre-inspection.
by
Right.
humans?
No, but for
They're not
them,
actually
that's
human.
a brilliant.
Waive the
place.
home inspection.
Yeah, no, you have to. It's as is. We're not having a home inspection. In sports news, Minnesota at home.
Oh, hold on. I do have some. Believe it or not, the New York Daily News has a more complete story on the naked man.
How can the New York Daily News have it?
Stunning
This
reporting.
is Washington, D.C.
Let's see. Police. Let's see. The naked assailant strutted into DC's Gallery Place station early morning and got on a train.
Yeah.
He then.
He was naked on the train.
He was on the train.
Oh, great.
I assume minding his own business.
Yeah, how do they know he strutted?
that? That seems like a
yeah, it does
little
seem
bit
a-
of a flourish.
Yeah.
Who's this reported by? What's the dateline? New York?
It's let's see, yeah. There is no dateline. It says naked attacker tasered after attacking DC subway passengers.
Right.
He switched trains when the subway stopped, and that's
to
when,
make his getaway.
Well, that's when the unnamed witness saw the suspect begin hitting someone. He wound up assaulting. So they just confirmed two people before the cops arrived and tased him. So
Right. Well, this is a breaking news story. and
Yes,
we will get
developing,
more
yes.
as the story goes on. So Minnesota last night gets the last playoff spot in the NBA. For the first time in 300 years, apparently, they get in there and they beat Denver, who I
14,
liked,
right?
because Denver to me was the Loyola Chicago of the tournament. Because you cannot name. Chris, you're a pretty good basketball fan.
I
don't think you
know-
can name 5 people on the Denver Nuggets or
looked-
the coach.
I looked at that game a bunch last night.
You got that huge
Jokic
white
is
dude,
on the
Jokic.
team. Jamal
Yeah.
Murray, the
Yeah,
kid from
okay,
Kentucky. Gary Harris from Michigan
Gary
State.
Harris, good pull.
Wilson Chandler is on that team.
He's 400 years old.
Is Millsap on that team?
I don't know.
Paul Millsap?
I don't know. Who's the coach?
Richie Adebato.
No,
Nailed it.
no, it's not. Nobody knows who the coach of Denver is.
I have
Nobody
no
knows.
idea.
It's Michael Malone.
Who?
I don't know. That's all I can tell you. Is
Sam
Michael
Malone?
So
Mikey,
they're
bar owner?
So they're in the playoffs where they will lose to Houston in the first round.
Yes.
I was rooting for the other team. Oh, you know why I was rooting for the other team? Honestly, because Thibodeau coaches that team, and I'm just so tired of Tom Thibodeau, how great he is. Because Tom Thibodeau is to basketball what Billy Martin was to pitching staffs. He plays
down.
wears you out. You have nothing left. He plays guys 43 minutes, and I didn't want them to make it. And I didn't want Jimmy
And
Butler.
Jimmy
to
Butler
be-
and in
I'm
fact,
tired of
you know,
Jimmy.
spe-
It's
speak-
just because of Wilbon.
Speaking
I
of
actually
playing
like
guys
these people.
all day,
Yeah.
Jimmy Butler, like in his third or fourth game back, playing 40
all
something
day.
minutes, and Thibodeau appears to be like he's approaching Rick Majerus size. I mean, he is every time
Is
I
he
look
getting
at him,
larger?
looks it to me.
Okay.
He doesn't do anything but coach that team. I mean, I think he's one of those like sleeps at the facility dudes.
Yeah.
He's not like
In other
doing
basketball
bar
news of a
workouts.
local nature, the Washington Wizards, with the ability to play, if Washington beats Orlando last night, and I know it's at Orlando, but Orlando going into that game was 24-57.
Is that not good?
It's not good. It's one of the 5 worst records in the NBA going into that game. They had nothing to play for, and their coach was going to be fired. If Washington wins that game, they play Boston in the first round of the playoffs. Boston's 2 best players, Gordon Hayward, who never played, and Kyrie Irving, who could have been the MVP the way Boston started. They're out.
Yeah.
They're done. You want to play Boston in the first round of the playoffs. By the way, you just beat Boston last night, right? Or 2 nights ago?
2 nights ago.
You just
Yeah.
beat them.
Yeah.
You just
Pretty
beat
handily.
them. So
Yeah.
you want to play them. So they gagged, and they lost, and now they get the number 1 seed, Toronto. Now,
Not even American.
I will say this.
Just
that
saying.
Views
that
from the
will be,
6.
you will need a Sherpa guide to find that on television. And that is because of legal reasons,
That's right.
Toronto cannot give you ratings points in the United States. It doesn't matter how many people in Canada watch that game, there's no rating. So that will be on NBA TV or NBA TV 2, which
And
nobody gets.
I believe it tips 5:30 Saturday is the first one. I mean, it's going to be on NBA TV. I would assume it's on NBA TV.
And I'm giving you the reason why.
Yeah,
It's
I
not
mean-
because they hate the Wizards. It's because you cannot get any ratings points. Now, you will say that they're the number 1 team in the league, so the Wizards should lose. Well, Paul Pierce went on television this morning and picked the Wizards to win the series. These are identical teams. They're guard-oriented teams. The Wizards, who play badly against bad teams, play very well against good teams.
Have always played well
Even
against
though
Toronto.
they are 7-13 in their last 20, because of the way the playoffs are set up, John Wall will be available for every game. There are no back-to-backs in that.
Right.
You got days off. So I don't think that they will necessarily lose. What do you think, Chris? They're good against Toronto. They are.
They are. They are good against Toronto. It's a pretty good matchup for them. I think they will lose. Toronto has an actual home court advantage. I mean, if you remember, people in
Didn't
Toronto
the Wizards sweep them 2 years ago?
Yes.
They swept
The
them.
Wizards have lost. I just think momentum matters. Maybe it doesn't, but the Wizards have lost 11 of 16. They seem every day. Scott Brooks looks like he wants to step in front of traffic. I mean, he looks miserable. Doesn't seem to have any answers for it. They're really inconsistent.
Continually says this is unacceptable and then doesn't change anything. This is the classical definition of insanity.
So
he expects it to change. It never changes, and he is not active in changing.
I mean, Gary may have it in front of him, but I mean, Toronto. They are in the playoffs regularly. This is the best season they've had. I mean, did they win 60?
They gag in the playoffs.
Lowry in particular has not played well in the playoffs.
Gag central.
Yeah, they need a bunch from DeRozan and Lowry. I think that the Wizards will lose.
T-shirts that say "Gag City." They stink, and
we
they
can-
have
we can
Drake,
think
who's
about that.
annoying.
Tony,
Drake's annoying.
Drake is. There's going
Am
to
I
be a
right
lot.
on this? Is Drake annoying? People just looking at their phones.
They
They're not
don't
even listening.
care.
Nobody
They don't
cares.
care.
So
Saliz is
why am I
talking.
doing
Saliz
this?
is talking. Check
listen
Twitter.
to this TV schedule for that game. When you said it's going to be difficult to find,
Sherpa guide.
On a given night, you could find it, but you know about the importance of consistency in programming.
That's amazing.
So listen to this. I have all 7 games. Game 1, ESPN. Game 2, NBA TV. Game 3, ESPN 2. Game 4, TNT. So first 4 games, none of them are on the same network.
No.
Game 5 will be on TNT or NBA TV. 6 will be on ESPN or ESPN News.
ESPN News is
News.
saying, like, we don't even do PTI if we're going to be on ESPN.
Possible elimination.
Wait, it's Frankie I solo. We're not doing
Elimination Game 6, ESPN News. And then Game 7 would be ESPN TNT. So it is never on the same network.
Because you
back-to-back
cannot,
nights.
there's no bang for the buck.
Yeah.
Even if they're great games, you only have one market that's going to rate. That's all you got.
Right.
Can I just bash the Wizards just a little more?
Yeah,
Just-
why
okay,
not?
I'm looking at the minutes played and lineup that the Magic rolled out last night. Now, you know Aaron Gordon, right? Kid from Arizona. He's good. He played 12 minutes last night. Okay, so he barely played.
He's been an all-star.
11. He's their best player.
Yeah.
He had 11 points. Here is the people who played over 20 minutes. Shelvin Mack.
He used to play
Former
here.
Wiz.
Yep.
He used to play here.
And a Xavier kid. I think went to Xavier.
I believe
Shelvin
that's
Mack.
correct.
Jamel Artis. Literally have never heard of him in my entire life.
Bricks
I don't know who he is.
Rodney Purvis. I don't know who that is.
We got Artis and Purvis.
Kem Birch. Are you familiar with his work?
I'm familiar with a birch tree. I don't know who Kem Birch
Kem
is.
Birch.
No, I don't know.
And Wesley Owundu. Those are the people who played more than 20 minutes.
So
I don't
Gordon, DJ Augustine, and Vukovic all played 12 minutes each.
So they played them basically a
So
quarter.
they were trying
resting
to lose
their starters for the
next
offseason.
year.
I mean,
Trying to get a draft pick here. Help
they're
us out, Washington.
25 and 57. Kem Birch played 33 minutes. I mean, clearly he's 1,000 times better at basketball than I am, but these guys are professional athletes. I just don't understand. You look at
Trying
the
to
Wizards.
tank.
I mean,
the Wizards said you won't tank on us.
Thomas Satoransky played 42 minutes. Beal played 36
Wall,
minutes.
They were resting Wall.
They rested Wall.
Because it was back-to-backs.
Yeah.
And
that won't happen in the playoffs.
No, it won't. And an argument could have been made that last night was the playoffs. Because
I agree. I agree that getting Boston is better than getting Toronto.
Yeah.
But I also think that they've played very well against Toronto. And they swept them 1 year in the playoffs 2 years ago. All right, let's get out of here. When we come back, Neil Greenberg, this is very risky. We're going to talk about hockey because hockey is a ratings killer. But we'll ask Neil Greenberg to break down the NHL playoffs, and then we'll go local with the Caps and to which round he thinks the Caps will lose this year. I am Tony Kornheiser.
You're listening to The Tony Kornheiser Show.
This is the SeatGeek ad. Buying tickets can be complicated and confusing, but there's a better way to buy, and that is with SeatGeek. SeatGeek is the smartest, easiest way to get tickets to every type of live event. Whether you're searching for a last-minute deal, planning a night out with friends, or you need to find the perfect gift, SeatGeek helps you find the best seats at the best prices, fully guaranteed. There's nothing quite like being there in person, and SeatGeek will get you closer to the action for a great value. Chris Saliza has used SeatGeek.
I will tell you that I've told this story before, but my plane landed in L.A. I thought, I wonder if the Dodgers are in town. 5 minutes later, the plane had not even started to deplane. I had a seat to Chavez Ravine. It was an awesome experience. I ate 3 Dodger dogs.
There you go. SeatGeek saves you time and money by searching multiple ticket sites to compare prices and find amazing deals. To get you the most bang for your buck, SeatGeek grades every ticket based on value to help you immediately identify the best seats that fit your budget. Plus, every purchase is fully guaranteed. You can shop for tickets on SeatGeek with confidence. Make SeatGeek your go-to app for finding the best deals on every type of ticket, from sports and concerts to comedy and theater. And best of all, listeners to this high-quality podcast get $20 off their first SeatGeek purchase. Just download the SeatGeek app, SeatGeek. SeatGeek app, enter the promo code Tony today. That's promo code Tony for $20 off your first SeatGeek purchase.
This is the Tony Kornheiser Show. Tony Kornheiser
Show. This is Aaron Elvis Honick. I like the way he does that because I don't believe that's his real name because Elvis Presley was Elvis Aaron Presley, A-R-O-N. Anyway, he goes by A.E. Honick. He's from Pittsburgh. This song is called Monkey Off My Back, which we dedicate to the Washington Capitals. And what he sent us was a public relations release.
Yes.
He sent us everything about his
life. A little more
name.
info than we need.
Yeah, all we want is your music.
But we appreciate the music.
We like your music.
Yeah, we do.
We're here for the music with you.
Sing the song.
We don't care that you give back to the community. We like the music. Yeah. We like your music. Thank you very, very much. We take our lives into our hands as we go to hockey now. Our ratings plummet like they do on television all the time. But we love Neil Greenberg. We actually love Neil Greenberg. So we'll start with this. With all of the fancy statistics that you have, I'm trying to craft good questions. Which teams in the NHL, which teams do the numbers that you use say are the best teams, because they are not necessarily the teams that finish first or second? Which are the best teams, Neil?
Well, I think if we're going by some of the underlying metrics, I like Boston's chances to have a pretty deep run in this year's playoffs. They have one of the best top lines in the NHL right now. They have good goaltending. They got good defense. They're probably the most balanced team. They're a number 2 seed. I don't know if that's really going against convention here.
Yeah.
And I also think that this is going to be a relatively chalky playoffs in terms of the top seeds really are the best teams and have been dominating for most of the year, right? You have Tampa Bay Lightning. As long as Steven Stamkos is healthy, they're certainly dangerous. The Toronto Maple Leafs, they're a 3 seed. They have to face Boston in the first round, which isn't great. But then you also have the Nashville Predators, who are really good at creating scoring chances. They're really good on defense. And their goaltender, Pekka Rinne, is the favorite to win the Conn Smythe already in terms of Vegas. So there'll probably be like one upset in the first round that takes people by surprise. But I don't think we'll see too many surprises in this playoff bracket.
So are there teams that you think are overrated, that are that are seated more highly than they should be, given the different nature of playoff hockey?
Yeah, and that's probably why I'm on the show. I mean, I think that the Capitals, even though they won the Metropolitan Division, have a lot of problems with their game. And we talked about this the last time I was on the show. This is a team that after you take into account shot quality, in terms of where they're taking their shots, the angle, whether or not they're rebounds, whether or not they come on the power play, they're one of the worst teams in terms of expected goal differential, meaning what we're seeing on the ice is really completely different than what we would expect based on where we're seeing their shot attempts come from. And historically, that's bad news in the playoffs. You look at the teams that have appeared in the Cup Finals. Most are in the top 10 for expected goal differential. Washington's the second worst team in the league, and that's just
in the whole league. In the whole league,
yeah.
Like of 30 teams.
Yeah, Buffalo's the only team that's worse, and they were just completely awful. So, my colleague Isabel Kershudian had an article about the Caps are kind of hand-waving this away and saying that they focus on high-quality shots and they're not really into volume. I buy that very little, and here's why. You can reason away a shot attempt here, a scoring chance here. I mean, there's certainly some instances where the numbers from just the data feed that comes from the NHL don't take into account a lot of the nuances of hockey, such as was the goaltender screened, was there traffic in front, those type of things. And you can dismiss some of those, but to say that that's responsible for the entire differential or the entire gap between what we're seeing and what we expect, I think is a little bit unreasonable.
So we had on the PTI show yesterday, we had Eddie Olczyk on. And Eddie Olczyk said Columbus will beat the Caps in the first round. I mean, what do we make of that? Do you feel the same way?
I don't disagree. They're actually. I give this.
Come on, Neil.
What about the crown being heavy? Being the issue.
I wish I had better news, but this is you look at what Columbus has done just during the season, and I get that Sergei Bobrovsky has had his playoff troubles in the past, but I really don't think that that's much of anything in terms of the sample size. Now, I do think Washington will win this series. I don't think that they'll necessarily get upset, but it comes with a bunch of asterisks, right? Number one, they need to maintain home ice advantage because Washington and Barry Trotz in general doesn't do a very good job of getting his team in a position to succeed when they don't have the benefit of last change. Meaning, if he can dictate the matchups at home, put out on the ice his players that he wants against the defense, then he has a lot more success than when he doesn't have that advantage. So if Columbus can somehow steal one of the first two games, I think Washington's in trouble. Number two, they need to be careful because the Columbus Blue Jackets have a really good top line of Artemi Panarin, Cam Atkinson, and Pierre-Luc Dubois.
Never heard of any of them. They could have been playing for the Orlando Magic last night. Yes.
Panarin is very, very good.
Isn't that a bread? Panarin bread?
Delicious.
No,
different guy.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I think that line could be a problem with the way that this defense has been playing. Like I said, I do think that Washington squeaks by, probably in 6 games, maybe even in 7, but it's going to be a grueling series for them, and by all accounts, it looks like Pittsburgh is going to be the team that waits for them in the second round because they just absolutely decimated Philadelphia in their opening game last night.
Neil, do you have any thoughts as to whether or not pulling Braden Holtby, who had been so good for so long, and starting this other guy, what do we call the other guy, Grubsy?
Groovy.
Groovy?
Yeah, Groovy.
Grubsy is 1,000 times better.
Do we
than
think
Groovy.
that's a bad move? Is that an eyebrow raiser for you?
No, I think that's actually the right move at this point. My concern with the move though was how cagey Barry Trotz was about it, right? I mean, there was really no vote of confidence there in terms of Grubauer's our guy. He's seeing the puck better. He's playing better. He gives us the best chance to win. It was, well, I'm not sure yet. We're still auditioning, and I'm not going to tell you who it is. Like that. One of the reasons why Holtby is having his issues, in my opinion, is it's a mental issue, right? I mean, he's just not. There's something wrong. He's not seeing the puck as well. It's just the focus isn't there. So if you're gonna have a goaltender, you need a guy, right? If you have two goaltenders, you have none. So I would have liked to see Grubauer be anointed the starter a lot early on, because I'm not even sure that if he has a shaky game in Game 1 against Columbus, that we don't see Holtby for Game 2.
That's exactly what I think. Exactly what I think.
That's a disaster. Like that. That's the worst possible scenario in terms of what can come out of this goalie controversy.
Neil, Barry Trotz, without a contract for next year, his assistants, if my understanding is correct, do.
Correct, and so does Brian McClellan.
So should the Caps lose this, which is not unthinkable for any longtime Caps fan, should they lose this series to Columbus, do you think it's time to start all over again?
This is Verluga says this is it. Trotz is
without a
coaching
doubt,
for
this is it. And a matter of fact, he was from what I understand, Barry Trotz was almost fired earlier in the season around November,
like
when
Mueller.
the Caps were when the Caps were inconsistent, and it was right before. It was actually the game before he reunited Nicholas Backstrom and Alex Ovechkin on the top line, and he was cagey about that too. People were asking, well, why don't you put them back together? And he said, I just don't want to. And then from what I understand, that he had a very, very short leash over maybe another loss or two, and it would have been a coaching change. And then that very next game, Backstrom and Ovechkin were reunited. So I think that the seat is very hot for Barry Trotz. I don't think that's a secret. And anything less than a competitive Eastern Conference Finals appearance, I think, means that we'll probably see Todd Reardon as the head coach of the Capitals next year.
Am I reading too much into this? But the general manager of the Nashville Predators and the general manager of the Vegas Golden Knights are former Capitals general managers, and they seem to have had very good seasons. David Poile and George McPhee seem to have had very good seasons.
Yeah, and probably, unfortunately for Barry Trotz, who was the coach for Nashville, a lot of that success came after he was gone. And I think that's part of the issue that the Capitals have had in the past. Bruce Boudreau was a very good regular season coach, not a very good playoff tactician. I think we're seeing the same thing with Barry Trotz. And there is a difference between playing in the regular season and playing in the postseason, and there's a difference in coaching. And you only have a 7-game series to make adjustments, and if you wait too long, oftentimes it's too late. So, yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, Vegas is a little bit different situation. They had the expansion draft, but hats off to them. I mean, they absolutely crushed the expansion draft, and the proof is their first playoff win in their first playoff appearance ever as an expansion team last night. So, yeah, I don't think that I think it's pretty impressive.
Well, you're not that confident, obviously, about the Capitals, but I'm sure you are confident about the Wizards' ability to sweep Toronto like they did 2 years ago. Am I correct on that?
Oh, boy. What? I don't even know where to start with what happened with the Wizards. But, look, I know that they're the 8th seed and they're going up against Toronto. Here's the thing about Toronto.
They stink. They gag. They stink.
And also, they relied very heavily on their bench. Their bench was one of the best performers this season. In the playoffs, you don't use your bench as much, so it actually might be possible that they aren't as good as they were in the regular season. Perhaps that gives the Wizards an opening, but look, the chances are slim at this point. I mean, maybe you're looking at the Wizards being a 10-1 shot to win, to upset the Toronto Raptors in the first round, and they haven't looked good, right? I mean, there's just all sorts of problems with this team, and who knows if Wall is really 100% healthy. You know, Bradley Beal was playing well, but this nucleus is good, but I'm not sure that they're good enough to overcome an 8 seed against a Toronto team, which arguably is the best team in the East.
Fantastic optimism from Neil Greenberg.
I feel really good about it.
Very happy about that. Nice appearance.
After this appearance. This has been great. I'm going to go jump off a bridge.
Thank you, Neil.
Thank you. Talk to you soon.
Neil Greenberg, everybody. We like that.
By the way,
he's your pal.
Neil is a former colleague of mine, but a great colleague.
Yeah,
a great guy. Yeah. He's smart about tons of different stuff.
That's very good. All right, so we'll take a break. We will come back with news, particularly if there's anything more breaking about the naked man in the subway.
The K team, as we like to call it, is on it. Yes.
All right. I'm Tony Kornheiser.
This is the Tony Kornheiser Show. Tony Kornheiser Show.
This is the First Leaf ad. Now, I like First Leaf.
Yes, you do.
Even though the wine tyrant of Tunlaw has taken my wines from me. Like, the boxes come to me. I'm not allowed to open them. In fact, there's a box sitting on the dining room table right now.
Well, we have an
unopened.
update. We are going to come over for dinner Friday night,
and
so we can have a ceremony where we open up the box, and Liz can hand them out.
Right, so that would be good. But also in there is the ability to rate.
Yes, and we will all get together and rate the wines.
We've done the wrong thing. We have consumed the wine, which is not wrong, but then we haven't rated the wine.
Well, that's not wrong. You're just not getting the most out of it.
Right, the only way that they can help you.
That's right, help them help you.
yourself is if you rate the wine. It's the only wine club tailored to you. The more wine you taste and rate, the better they customize your box based on the wines you like. You get an introductory 3-pack of wine for just $5 a bottle, which is great. Get started with an introductory pack of wines. Usually go for $20 a piece. You'll get them for $5 each. Now, the bullet points, and I haven't actually done these things, but I'll read the bullet points because I want to give credit to people who write these things. It says, I started by answering 3 quick questions about my wine drinking preferences. What were those questions, Michael? Because you probably answered
Honestly, the question was red, white.
Yeah, so
Are you
red.
adventurous?
Yeah,
Will you
red.
try bubbles?
Yeah, I don't like bubbles that much. Their experts are constantly exploring new wines for me to taste and rate, and that's true. First Leaf created an introductory 3-pack of wine for me based on my flavor profile, and that's true. With First Leaf's introductory pack, you'll get all 3 for just $5 each. Normally, these bottles of wine go for $20 a piece, if not more. Here's what's not true, the bullet point that goes, when my bottles arrived, I tasted and rated them online. No, I drank them. I did not.
There's no taste.
Right down the chute.
And then this is also not true. First Leaf took those ratings and then selected new wines for me that were based on my taste. I should have done that.
Yeah, well, you
if the wine tyrant, gets control of this runaway train, that's what we're going to do from now on. And with First Leaf, you never have to worry about spending money on a bad bottle of wine. They guarantee you'll love the wine you buy, or they'll give you your money back. So try First Leaf Club today, where buying great wine is simple. To get your 3-pack of introductory wines for only $15, you go to firstleaf.com/Tony. 3 wines, $15 on your first order at firstleaf.com/Tony. Experience First Leaf today one last time at firstleaf.com/Tony.
You're listening to the Tony Kornheiser Show.
This is sent to us by Danny Baker in Rockville, Maryland.
Baker?
Who writes, attaches a song I wrote for my son, Levy, the second of 2 masculine children. Levy turns 1 on April 5th, so that was last week. The song is short and simple, which is about all a 1 and a 3-year-old give me time for, but I hope it will evolve as he grows. Please help me wish Levy a happy birthday on his first trip around the sun.
Could it be Levi?
No, because he says rhymes with Chevy.
Oh,
he writes rhymes
Could
with
it
Chevy.
be Shivi?
No, it's Levy.
Okay, I'm just saying.
It's
Took my
Levy.
Chevy to the levee, right?
And the levee was dry.
Yeah.
Those good old boys are drinking whiskey and rye.
Sing it.
Hope your spring break is going well. I
Another
thank you for
Tony
the hours
interview
of
gone awry.
entertainment, distracting me from the fewer fires on the red line each day. Fewer fires, but more naked men, apparently.
Yes.
Michael, if people like Danny Baker want to submit their music, how do they do it?
Send your music into the show by emailing it to jingles@TonyKornheiserShow.com.
We have all the T-shirts in the world now here. Chatter, all sizes you could possibly want. They are available for $12 each, and on our website, only 12. On our website, what have we got?
We have some TK Show related t-shirts, hats, some mugs, some tumblers, but we have a problem here because people are now reaching out to our management team requesting that they send boxes of t-shirts out, which I think that was a restaurant-only purchase, correct?
What is our management
What?
team?
People
I didn't know
want
we
boxes?
had management team.
Do we
What
have
does
a
that mean?
manager?
We have Ron.
Yes, Ron is part of our management
Ron and
team.
Liz. Oh, so
okay,
they are the
2
manage-
people, that makes a team.
Okay, so who's...
People are just calling into the restaurant saying, here's my $12,
Yes,
send me a t-shirt.
Send me a T-shirt. I think it's.
No, you got to buy it here.
Yeah, you got to come
Unless
here.
we want to do that. But then that's going to
Well,
cost
it's
us
gonna
money.
cost more, yeah.
It's going to
To
cost
ship.
us
Hard to do
more
it for
money
$12.
shipping. and
You
handling.
want it? Come and get it.
Yeah,
Come get it.
And
That's right.
Get some chili while you're
finger.
here.
Out of my cold deck. Now that's not
Saliza, by the way, in our little text group chat that Nige, Michael, and Saliza and I have, very excited to learn of the Reset the Board Nigel shirt
yeah.
that's
Yeah,
available at the TK shop.
I was unaware that existed.
which
and
is
I
a-
have
which is
bought,
a
let's
great-
just say, a significant stock of those.
Well, they'll never go out
because
of style.
Nigel loves when people remind him.
This is our
Great.
designer,
It's a
Rob Copeland.
great
Yes,
shirt.
it is a very high-quality t-shirt.
Holding it up.
looks fantastic.
That's for people who want that.
Yeah.
That you can order from us, but
Yes.
we don't have...
That's through the TK
Yeah,
shop.
we're not-
We got
set
the,
up-
we got
we
the
don't stock
chatter
chatter
shirts here.
shirts at the
Yeah,
TK
we're
shop.
not shipping.
I mean, you
costs.
could. but then
Nigel would
you
be
gotta
happy
increase
to
the cost
sign
of it.
that shirt.
Yeah,
loves-
we all sign shirts.
Oh, yeah, sure.
He loves being reminded.
Yeah.
So do you
Love
have
that
news?
shirt.
Include the baseball brawls in your news because I didn't get to that.
Okay.
Call
Yeah.
them base brawls. I thought of that.
Well, but base brawls. There you go.
Because
Copyright.
we can talk to Michael. Michael went to the game yesterday.
That's right.
Michael went to the Nats.
The Nats Braves game, right?
Yeah. Michael went with Luke.
How was that?
It was an
amazing.
afternoon
Good
well
seats,
spent.
I
That is
imagine.
great.
Yeah.
That is great. Well, first we will update you on the Naked Man.
Yes, what's new on that?
Fox is
Is he
reporting
still
now.
naked?
He's still naked. Yes.
National news now.
Yes.
Has Trump tweeted about him yet?
He has. Great job by Naked Man today. No, Bill Isaacson showed us a picture of the Naked Man sitting on the sidewalk, arrested, still quite naked in that photo, Bill. So, yes.
Where was this?
This was outside of DuPont
Well, that's
Circle
interesting because
Metro
when
Station.
I've been arrested naked, the cops will normally throw a blanket around
That
me.
is
So I'm
true.
surprised to see they've just. But it is a warm day.
So witnesses are telling Fox 5 he first spotted the naked man inside Gallery Place, which we reported earlier.
Yeah.
The man first got on the train. Then the man exited onto another train where he then was recorded striking another passenger. And I've got a still shot of that. And he's just sort of raising his hand and punching another passenger. And
For any
then-
particular reason.
like that
Wait,
dude
or
with the
because
shoe
he's high.
at Bush that time.
Well, we'll get to that in a
Remember that guy with
second.
the shoe?
Another witness told Fox 5 the naked man then exited the train at DuPont where he did naked calisthenics on the platform.
Okay, so he's in shape.
Yeah, doing
Fit.
some push-ups and jumping jacks.
Sure.
Officials,
Planet Fitness.
Officials remarked that
No
the
shame.
man may, and I repeat, may have been on some kind of drug at the time of the early morning
He
incident.
may.
Did they find a Metro card on his person?
They did not,
So
well, yeah.
true.
One can only assume that he was fully clothed when he entered the Metro station.
Why?
and
Why
then-
can only why?
Because
Why would you assume that?
Because I would think that there
He'd
was
be
somebody there that would
detained
say,
prior to actually getting on the
this
train,
is-
maybe?
yeah, no shirt, no pants,
you
no
know
service.
what? No, in truth, when you see a naked man anywhere near a subway station, you go, get me away from this guy. What is this guy doing?
I mean, I remember back in the day, I was drinking a soda at the end of a platform, and a voice comes out of nowhere and says, "You with a Boston hat on, take the soda and throw it away."
Yeah.
So I think that the voice of God should be watching these guys, right?
I don't know.
that was
Anyways.
probably because of the Boston hat.
It was probably because of the Boston hat, yes. And speaking of Boston, there was a brawl.
Well done.
Thank you.
Professional
Nice.
broadcaster.
2 brawls last night.
Yes, what was he? I know
Yanks, Sox,
Yeah.
Padres, Rockies.
I
Nolan Arenado charged the mound, and Tyler Austin charged the mound. And why
Well-
did they charge the mound? Because they were deliberately hit.
Well, yes,
Deliberately.
But in Tyler Austin's case, because I was watching this game, and truth be told, I'm a Red Sox fan.
Right.
But he had a late slide and went out of his way
I
to strike
understand.
the second
I
baseman
understand.
earlier in
but
the game.
then
So
the
try to
pitcher
kill
came
him.
inside on him once, and that should have been enough, and then threw right at him.
Yeah.
Small of the
Threw
back.
right at him.
You know,
Or between
well,
the blades.
And
Yeah.
the guy who hit him throws
Joe Kelly.
hard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Joe Kelly does throw in the high 90s.
I think it was 98.
Yeah.
Oh.
So yeah. Well, but you know,
leave a
Everybody
mark.
was suspended. They should be.
no love lost between those two teams. So
I think the Colorado fight was
Nice
even
nice
better.
outing by David Price.
he was in for
Yeah,
one, got
not
4
good.
runs, and then we're watching and we're like, and the second inning came out, he said, "Well, he's not there now. Who's
No,
that guy?"
'cause he had numbness
And I
in his
guess
hand or
He said he's
something.
going to play catch today
Yeah,
and
good
see how
for
that
him.
goes.
That'll
Good for
be
him.
fine.
Yeah.
For his $19 million a year.
He's
Good for him.
30 million, actually.
Yeah, what else?
I guess the Nationals lost that
Well,
game.
Michael, tell us what happened. How
They
long
lost
did you
in
stay?
extra innings. The Nats came back twice, but the big sort of themes from this are you have a continuation of bullpen issues.
Sean
They're
Kelly
giving
and
up a
Ryan
lot
Madsen.
of hits, and I know that the Braves are a pretty good hitting team, but this is unacceptable. You had the missing the zone, and you have an issue over there at first base. You don't know what the solution is of how much time Zim's actually going to play. And even though you had Matt Adams hit that home run, he still does not seem like a much better option.
They sent Matt Adams from second in the 8th or the 9th inning to score, and he was out by 10 feet. The throw was a little bit high, but the catcher blocked the play very well. And this guy's a water buffalo. You cannot send. He's not going to get there. He makes Wilson Ramos look fast. He's not going to get there. It's just not.
But Zimmerman is hitting 114.
Yeah,
So
But
you
that's
got
up.
to try something else.
Well, it's spring training for him, ostensibly.
That's comforting.
Adam Eaton on the DL.
And Trey
Adam
Turner
Eaton
doing nothing.
Adam Eaton may be that guy who's just never
Is this
helping.
because of the ankle?
I don't know.
Is that
What else?
why
Yes.
he's on the DL? Yeah.
Looks like Georgetown could be losing another player just days after Marcus Derrickson announced he was going to leave and go into the draft and hired an agent. Jesse Govan, the center for the Hoyas, said he is going to declare for the draft, but unlike Derrickson, he will not hire an agent, which would allow him the opportunity to return.
Imagine our good fortune that Chris Saliza, Georgetown, is
Yay.
here. Is this, if the two best players from Patrick Ewing's first team opt to leave, is this saying, we were recruited by John Thompson, we don't particularly like Patrick Ewing. We're out of here.
Okay.
That's what I would
So the
immediately
defense
ask.
would be what you mentioned, which is he didn't recruit them. The pushback, which I sort of am in this camp, is Patrick Ewing was the most successful big man ever at Georgetown and a top 50 NBA player ever. They are both bigger guys, back to the basket guys. Derrickson a little less, but definitely Govan. It worries me that they, after saying when the season ended, they were both definitely coming back. They have quotes to that effect that they are both now, I think, leaving because I think Govan. I don't think Derrickson's getting drafted, even he's hired an agent, Europe. But right. Yeah. I think Govan could get drafted. He's a 6'10" guy with good hands, good feet, who can shoot. And so I think if he goes and they say, yeah, you're going to get drafted, then I think he'll stay too. And then we have. I mean, yes, it's not good. This was a full rebuild when they fired Thompson. Now it's an even fuller rebuild if those two guys are gone. I mean, it's not great.
Right. What else?
But I mean, my expectations are so low.
Yeah, they've got to be so.
I mean,
Russell Westbrook averaged a triple-double for the second year in a row.
Why is that? He got 20 rebounds last night and 19 assists.
He needed 17.
He needed 34 rebounds in his last two games to average triple-double.
Do you think he knew?
Yeah. So here's my question about Westbrook. Last year, this was the biggest deal in the history of the world.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah.
This year, to do it for a second year is completely unprecedented in the 75-year history of the NBA. It's just never happened. Yeah. And nobody seems to care. Can somebody explain this to me?
There's no fanfare whatsoever.
Why this?
That's a great point.
Because last year it was like the man landing on the moon. It was like everything stopped. We've got to watch this. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it's
remarkable. Now he's
remarkable.
proven it can be done, so it's just like, yeah, that's what he does. Totally taken for granted.
It feels to me like sort of selfish this year,
Oh,
and it didn't last
totally.
year.
The way he did it.
But not last year.
With a 6-point, 20 rebounds, 19 assists last night. So it's not like he was not doing his thing.
You know what? They put Carmelo Anthony and Paul George on that team, and they're one game better. Mm-hmm. That's all they are, is one game better. That has not worked.
I'll say this about Russell Westbrook. Not that it will come as a surprise to you, and I know you're a fan of his, as am I.
Love to see
there aren't
him
a
play.
lot of guys in the league at that position who, if they decided they wanted 20 rebounds in a game, are going to go get it.
He can win a series by himself.
He can do whatever he wants, basically.
He's
on
that
the court.
good. I don't know if he's good to play with. That's what I don't know. Right. But he's that good individually.
Yeah.
So.
Staying with the association, Tristan Thompson is in a little bit of hot water with his significant other, Khloe Kardashian.
Which one is she?
Chloe.
How many are there?
She's Chloe.
I'm not sure.
Three.
What do you mean, which one is she?
Courtney, Chloe, and Kim.
Kim.
I think
she's the sister.
I think Chloe is the
sister?
middle
Are they all the
one.
sisters?
Yeah.
Right.
I think she's the middle.
Who was with Lamar Odom?
Zeppo, I think.
Courtney.
Courtney was with Lamar Odom. So this is Chloe's star turn?
Yes.
This is her first NBA star? Chloe?
I should know, and I don't know what her
Lamar Odom and Chloe were together. That is true.
Chloe.
And Chloe is...
They were married. Were they not?
I don't know, but here's a story in Us Weekly. Lamar Odom, quote, would absolutely get back together with Khloe Kardashian.
Does anybody ever learn? Does anybody ever see that associating with this family, it puts you right down the bowl? It doesn't work.
Remember James Harden that one year?
It doesn't work.
Not good.
Yeah.
Who was that big center for the Nets? It doesn't work.
Oh, yeah. He was her
Blake
first.
Griffin,
He was her first. Chris
Humphrey.
Yeah.
He was her
former
first.
They prey on basketball players. They are birds of prey. Why would you do this?
Well,
to what end? Because you're famous for a little while?
Yeah, get on.
What's Tristan Thompson is
he
canoodling with women?
He went Tiki Barber on her, apparently.
Yeah, was canoodling with two other women while she was pregnant, I guess, and it's interesting for us here locally because it was at a club that I think you like to go to, a hookah club.
I've never been.
Donna.
Yeah, I don't know it.
She's in labor when the sex tape came out.
Why are you...
Well, not sex tape, just canoodling.
Where was Michael Cohen?
Oh, canoodling.
What are you doing?
Heavy petting.
What are you doing? It ruins your life. They ruin
Stay
lives.
Stay away.
There should be a giant sign that goes on your phone that says no trespassing.
Isn't it like
stay away.
A rookie symposium like they do in the NFL? These are the things to stay away from.
And you saw, what the girl who he was allegedly with
does
for Instagram model.
Oh my!
What does that mean?
It means she.
Do you get money?
She takes pictures of herself and puts them on the Instagram, and
that's a profession.
Chasing likes and
that is now a legitimate. Can you go to college to be an Instagram model?
Yes,
is that a specialization?
I was a minor in that. Yeah.
Instagram models have caused issues. This is not the first professional athlete who's had issues with an Instagram model.
Why do you do this?
Slipping into your DMs.
Odell Beckham. No, she was an Instagram model. That's
Why do you do this? Why?
You can't be surprised if you're her, right? I mean, you can't.
You can't be surprised if you're him. No. You cannot. Yeah. These associations.
Kids today.
Are you saying the association?
No.
Oh.
Actually, Kim Kardashian now seems like the most stable of them all.
She seems the most reasonable.
Married, got a couple of kids. Everything seems to be good for her.
Yeah.
Now it's the others.
She does pose. Kim Kardashian, speaking of Instagram, does just post naked pictures of herself on Instagram. It's like up in a tree.
It's her prerogative.
Like in a tree, she's just standing there naked.
Well, you'd like to do that as well.
Is that the one you're looking at right now?
Wait a second. If she does that, why doesn't she go to DuPont Circle and get on the Metro?
So true. Get tased.
Don't want to be tased, bro.
Okay.
Wow.
You know what? You stay away. You stay away.
Stay away. Steer clear.
What are you doing? All right. Is that it? Are we good?
Yes.
So there are certain things we didn't talk about.
Well, yeah. That's
all right. We'll get them
tomorrow.
Some other day.
Yeah.
We'll get them some other day. All right. We'll get out of here now. We will come back with old guy. Chris is gonna. You probably think, aren't you ever going to talk about Paul Ryan? Yes, we are. We're going to talk about Paul Ryan and maybe what's going on in Syria, but more importantly, Michael Cohen. We're going to talk about that because just to tease this, and Bill's a lawyer and Bill's here. I don't really understand how you do this. That you just go into the guy's house, his private residences, and what I thought was sort of protected material, you just take it. So Bill can maybe tell me how that works. I'm Tony Kornheiser.
You're listening to the Tony Kornheiser Show.
This is Philadelphia Freedom. This is Old Guy Radio for the day. This is written by Elton John, dedicated to Billie Jean King. I mean, this is a great song in terms of critical commentary. It's a great song when you're driving. You know, it's a wonderful song. Why are we playing it?
Because on this date in 1975, it hit #1. And
so that's what, 50 or
No.
43?
Yes, 56.
43 years ago?
Gary, do the math for us.
43 years ago?
Yeah.
Billie Jean was, in the World Team Tennis League.
Yeah, and as you said, he was great friends with her, and he wanted to write a song in honor of her. And so he told Bernie Taupin, hey, we got to do this. And Taupin said, I can't write a song about tennis.
Well, it's
so
not about tennis.
He wrote about sort of larger themes, but it was an ode to Billie Jean,
who was referred to often at World Team Tennis as Mother Freedom.
Oh, really?
She played for that team. Yeah, she's great. I mean, she's really actually important.
Yes.
Over the course of her life, she is an important human being as opposed to the Kardashians.
Yeah,
who are not important.
And I forget, did the movie that came out with
I haven't seen it. I never saw it.
Oh, you never saw it?
I heard it was very,
what was
very
that
good.
called?
Battle of the Sexes.
Battle of the Sexes, yeah.
Steve Carell and Emma Stone, and I heard it was very good.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Didn't you guys have some sort of thing with her? Like, didn't you guys meet up at the?
We met.
Met
her at the Castles.
Yeah, we met Billie Jean King. She's really, really great.
That's awesome.
She's really great. I just before we get into the rest of this segment, a man named John Adams, not that John Adams, wrote me an email, and I know I read it, and I wanted to respond to it, but now I don't have it. I don't know where it is. So if John Adams is listening, and I'm sure he is, Representative,
hit resend.
If you could just send it again.
Send it again.
Send it again. So Chris is here, and
hello.
And we haven't done, because we like Chris so much, we don't lean on him ever for politics. I mean, we really don't. And today we have to, because there's some stuff out there. Paul Ryan, to me, this is a big story. Paul Ryan is the Speaker of the House. Paul Ryan was, at one point, the reluctant Speaker of the House. Paul Ryan, I think it could fairly be said, plays Hamlet a lot on a public stage and says, come on, love me, want me, need me, and stuff like that. But he now, yesterday, I thought it was out of the blue, said, I'm done. I'm done. It's not that I'm not running for Speaker of the House anymore. No, I'm out. I'm utterly out. I'm going home to Wisconsin. And I'm going to see my children, who I guess he hadn't seen much lately. And by lately, I mean 20 years. Surprising, Chris?
A little surprising in the timing, not surprising he did it. There have been rumors for months that he was not going to be around much longer. Most people expected him to get reelected, which he would have, almost certainly,
yes.
and then resign his seat in early 2019. So he.
And what would be the benefit of doing that? That they retain the seat?
Yeah, yes, and you sort of there's not as long a time for a fight over who replaces you. You're now looking at from now until January, presumably, for a fight over who will be the next Speaker of the House or the leader of the Republican Party. Is a little less messy. Because the day yesterday was Paul Ryan's last relevant day as Speaker of the House. I mean, you become a lame duck the second you say you're leaving. So surprising in the timing a little bit, but not surprising that it happened. But a very big deal. Look, Republicans are going to have a very difficult time in the election this fall. History suggests they'll lose on average about 30 seats. There's only been 3 midterm elections, which 2018 will be. 3 midterm elections in the last almost 100 years where the party who held the presidency didn't lose seats in the House. That was 1934 during the Great Depression, 98 after the Clinton impeachment, and 2002 after the September 11th attack. So barring a major cataclysm,
which is looming at any moment. Right, at any moment.
The party who controls the White House loses seats in the House. But your boss being like, peace out, fellas, is not a good sign. If Paul Ryan thought for sure he would be Speaker of the House next year, it's hard to imagine he would leave.
Okay, so I will be the cynic here, and I will say that when I first heard of this, only three things were suggested to me.
Okay.
One was that he's doing this again, wanting people to say publicly that they love him and beg him to stay on. 2 is that he has something like a non-disclosure agreement somewhere in his past, and he does not want to run again because there's something there. And 3 is that he honestly believes that Trump will be impeached and he'd like to run for president, and he wants to clear the deck for him to do that. You're saying that none of those apply.
I think
those are cynical. I grant you that's the cynical side.
The first 2, no, they don't apply. He's not going to reconsider, and I do not think there's something looming out there that he's running away from.
Because a lot of these guys who are quitting have stuff.
Well, and you see oftentimes members of Congress who are in legal jeopardy will resign because they know that the authorities are less interested in a former member of Congress than a current member of Congress. It happens all the time. That is not the case here. I don't think he thinks Trump will be impeached. I do think he is very sick of trying to lead the Republican Party with Donald Trump in the White House. Right when, first of all, Paul Ryan did not want Donald Trump to win. He spoke out against him any number of times, distanced himself. He was one of the last people to get on board. When Trump did win, he immediately went to Trump with all of his various plans, Paul Ryan's plans for the budget and all these things, because he figured, not dumbly, Donald Trump didn't think he was going to win. Donald Trump's not a policy guy, even if he did think he was going to win. I've got all this stuff we've not been able to do because Obama's been president. How about we give it to Trump? He adopts it. We're good to go. Trump was less willing than I think Paul Ryan expected to sort of go along with his plans. And Trump's vision of the Republican Party is not Paul Ryan's vision. Paul Ryan came to prominence in the Republican Party by deficit reduction, new face on immigration, right? We need to tackle him, but we need to figure this out. Shrink government. I mean, Donald Trump doesn't care about any of that stuff. I mean, the tax cut, which Paul Ryan talks up, adds at a minimum $1.4 trillion to the debt.
Yes.
So
Bob Corker the other day said it's the worst vote he ever made.
I mean, so I think Paul Ryan's version of the Republican Party doesn't currently exist in Washington. So I think he's leaving. To your point on point 3, I do think he will at some point run for president. He's 48 years old. Yeah. If Donald Trump stays in through 2024, Paul Ryan will be in his mid-50s. I mean, I think that's a thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let us get to the FBI raid on Michael Cohen, which stuns me. Let me just bring in Bill for a second. I take it that since the FBI went to Rod Rosenstein and got clearance to do this, that there was some sort of probable cause to make this raid. But as a lawyer yourself, is this not a little bit scary, what happened?
No, there's procedures for raiding a lawyer. So, for example, they had to bring in a separate team just to review the information who's not involved in the investigation. They review it for attorney-client information. The investigating team does not get the attorney-client information. So that information,
even though last night on TV, Alan Dershowitz said, I wouldn't trust this at all, that it wouldn't be leaked.
Yes, even though Alan Dershowitz said that. There is a separate team that looks at all that stuff.
Okay.
I mean, so Trump has said this is a break-in and a raid. It is a raid.
It's a raid.
It's not a break-in. They had a search warrant. This was approved by a judge, was personally approved by Rod Rosenstein. He signed off on it. I'll remind people, just as an FYI, Bob Mueller was a Republican who was appointed by George W. Bush to be the FBI director. Rod Rosenstein was chosen by Donald Trump and Jeff Sessions, who is a Republican senator from Alabama prior to being... I mean, this is not like a Democratic witch hunt based on the people involved. What we know is this raid was triggered by a referral. Bill, correct me at any point when I'm making mistakes. This raid was triggered by a referral from.
There's one. Another mistake.
Stop.
Reset the board.
I just said to anyone who wants a free reset the board shirt, I'm happy to give it away. This was a referral by by Mueller rather. So Mueller came across this information as it relates to Michael Cohen, but this is not directly related to the Russia probe.
What do they want?
So they
By the way, can I just speak for the overwhelming majority
Yes.
of Americans? Nobody
Shut up,
understands.
Saliza.
No, nobody
Oh.
understands the Russia problem. Nobody. No regular human understands.
This is
But
somewhat,
what is this?
This is somewhat more understandable. So we don't know what they want yet, but we do know what they were aiming at in the raid. Information related to the payment that we know Michael Cohen made, the $130,000 payment he made to Stormy Daniels, a.k.a. Stephanie Clifford.
Right.
11 days before the election. Any information regarding the non-disclosure agreement and payment to Karen McDougal, who is the playmate
Yes,
who
yes.
alleges
Had
an
the
affair
extended
with
affair,
Trump.
yeah.
The,
Right.
Anderson Cooper interviewed her, CNN plug. And also, we learned this yesterday, last night, the New York Times reported this first, that they were looking for any documents or information related to the Access Hollywood tape.
What is that?
Well, we don't know, and it's not clear even if
What
they...
year
if Cohen,
was that?
2005.
What?
The tape was made. 2016, it came out.
He was just some guy then.
Well, he has been Donald Trump's personal lawyer and sort of fixer for a very long time.
I'm just saying Donald Trump was just some guy
Yes, he
then.
was just some guy.
He's a guy.
That's true.
2005.
So, but I would add that we don't know that Cohen was involved in that in any way, shape, or form. Though the question I would ask, though Bill probably can answer this better, is why would on the search warrant that be? We want to look for documents related to the Access Hollywood. Why would they think that why would he have documents if he was
but
not
also,
involved?
why would you give the okay to take that stuff?
So what we don't know is who's Cohen's paying and from what accounts. I mean, the initial $130,000 payment was flagged by a bank as a suspicious transaction.
Right.
So there are bank fraud issues that we don't know or understand that are being investigated, and
Go ahead.
yeah, so that's what they're following the money.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
that,
if for
Woodward
instance,
would tell you to follow the money all the time.
If, for instance, they believed there was some effort to suppress the Access Hollywood tape, to actively
Right.
suppress it, that might be
Right.
something that.
Well,
would
Trump
show.
has already said it's a doctored tape.
And
that
he has
say anything.
said he does not believe that
That's
he has
his
raised
voice.
questions of whether
That it
it's
ever
his
existed.
voice. Which, by the way, I'll remind people, when it came out in October 2016, he did dismiss it famously / infamously as locker room talk. But he also did apologize for it. There was never a question at that time that it was his voice.
Am I crazy, or does at least some, if not most, of his trouble go back to the fact that for reasons unknown to anyone in the world, he started attacking the FBI and the CIA, which is the absolute people that his base likes.
We know Mueller.
Why?
Know Mueller. One of the areas of inquiry for Mueller is the firing of Comey.
Right.
In May 2017, and another is the firing.
I bet he can dunk with either hand, Comey.
The big
Like
cat.
6'8".
Oh, yeah,
He's
so
a
good.
he
Big
lives
guy, big
quite
guy.
close to me. Big dude.
Yeah.
Big
Yeah,
cat.
he's good.
And then the other one is the firing of Michael Flynn, who is now pled guilty to lying to the FBI and is cooperating with the Mueller probe. I mean, there's a lot here. This is one of the many times I wish I had gone to law school, because it is increasingly becoming a legal matter. Now, you talk about impeachment. I think we're way too forward on that. That's a political matter, but everything else is a legal matter.
Can I ask the other question that occurs to me, and if it occurs to me, it probably occurs to at least a few other people. We have an inquiry by the Senate and then by the House into Mark Zuckerberg, in which the people in the Senate and the House demonstrate, I would, a complete ignorance. Complete ignorance of everything that the internet is.
Now, do you have the internet on your computer, Mr. Zuckerberg?
They look so stupid. Why don't they just do what everyone in America wants them to do and have an inquiry into Stormy Daniels? that would be nothing but viewers. That'd be the highest rated show
That's not wrong.
ever. Why not?
I mean, well, first of all, because the House and the Senate are Republican controlled, so they don't view it as advantageous to them to have hearings despite the ratings, to have hearings
numbers
regarding the president's
if PTI
alleged.
could get Stormy Daniels on the show, I would vote to do it.
But yeah, the Zuckerberg thing. There was a great quote by Billy Long, who's a member of Congress, a Republican from Missouri, who used to be a professional auctioneer, which is a great background.
Yeah.
But his quote was, I think I'll get it right. He said, He said this yesterday to Zuckerberg. Congress is good at doing two things: nothing and overreacting. it's totally true. And he's like, we are overreacting here. I mean, they don't understand. They don't understand
it.
And Zuckerberg, by the way, I wrote about this, but Zuckerberg basically will be lauded for that performance because of their lack of knowledge, because they couldn't follow up. If he told another story about how he founded Facebook in his college dorm room.
Is that right?
I mean, he had like 5 talking points, and that's all he had. They never got him off his talking points. I'll have my team look into it. By the way, that's a great phrase.
Well,
I'm using that.
The highlight of that
I don't
for
have a
me
team.
was the exchange with Orrin Hatch when
So
he asked,
He doesn't know anything. He's like me.
when he asked what
Orrin Hatch is way older
how
than you.
they make what the financial
How do you make
model
money?
is, and Zuckerman said, "Senator, we sell ads," with a smirk. Like, do you know why I'm even here?
Yeah.
It's like,
Wouldn't it be great if Hatch had been like, I've got these photos on my phone. I want to send them to my grandkids.
How does it work? I want to get them framed.
Now I've heard
Can you
of
help me.
I've heard of
Frame
the
them.
Facebook. Is that the same as Facebook? I mean, it was.
It
was
made for
Honestly,
some
this
fun
is like-
exchanges.
would-
I mean, it
would
wasn't
be if
all
you
comedy.
Said, Tony, why don't you conduct
Yeah.
this inquiry? I don't know.
It was not unlike that.
Now, when
know
I turned
anything.
my computer on sometimes, I mean, it was. I think they viewed him as like an IT guy.
Right, like he was Bill Gates.
My computer's making a weird whirring noise. Do you have any thoughts on that, Mr.
What's with
Zuckerberg?
this update? It takes forever to restart.
Let's get out of here. We will have jingle and some email when we return on Tony Kornheiser.
You're listening to the Tony Kornheiser Show. The Tony Kornheiser Show.
I just ran into McManus today
Huh. Interesting.
at a market near Poolsville Station. Or maybe it was a Harris Teeter. I don't really remember.
Best ever.
I may have a case of malnutrition. Ooh, sweet potato. I believe you have the nutrients I need.
You hit that one.
Huh.
Ooh, sweet potato. Vitamin A and beta carotene.
This is Tom Sulik in Fairfax Station, Virginia,
Brilliant.
who writes,
Wow.
Just wanted to add to the bushel of sweet potato odes to Mr. Kirkchin and his love of all things fruit and vegetable that end in O. I'm currently in production on a future jingles for tomatoes, mangoes, and tangelos. Can a cover of Princess Delirious featuring Radicchio really be that far behind? That was very good.
Tremendous.
Wow.
Great job.
Before we get to the mailbag, let us thank Neil Greenberg of the Washington Post for coming on today and burying the 2 home teams. I'd also like to thank the sponsors today, First Leaf Wine and SeatGeek. Remember to listen and subscribe to new and archived episodes of the Tony Kornheiser Show wherever you listen to podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Play. If you listen to the show through iTunes, please
I've
leave a
noticed you
review.
don't thank the co-hosts, the guests who sit in with you anymore.
Yeah,
that was
what
a one-day
happened to that?
thing.
Yeah, I didn't like it.
Boy, that hurts.
I didn't like
him.
it. Mike McEnany, who signs this from Dunkirk, DM. I don't know what DM is.
Yeah, we're not sure what that is.
He
Des
writes,
Moines.
the timeline of the story you told about Mitch Albom's piano skills was way off. You claim he played until his fingers bled at a Super Bowl party. Everyone knows that this really happened in the summer of '69. Is that a Bryan Adams song?
It is.
Summer
Yes.
'69.
Yeah.
May God have mercy on you and your piano. From Jake Erdmans in Gilbert, Arizona. Wait, do you want us to send you the winning Monopoly ticket? We thought you just wanted the ones you already have. I can't stand this anymore. From Douglas Bevan or Bevan in Adrian, Michigan. So on Tuesday, you ended the first segment explaining how you were somewhat worried about talking with Barry Levinson later in the show. This came after you were reading your mail on the air for 11 minutes to start said show. So what was the worst case scenario? Barry reading his own mail for 12 minutes? think that's good. Gene from the 11211 in Brooklyn, which is a palindrome. You might not remember this, but Charlie Steiner found out he got the Dodgers job when he was on the air with you. It was in the ESPN day when you were doing the show live from the ESPN Sports Zone. Charlie was in studio, and during the SportsCenter update, Dan the Duke Davis broke the news, which sent Charlie scrambling out of the studio to call his agent because Charlie didn't know the deal was done.
Funny.
I don't remember
that?
I don't remember that. Mike from Burke, Virginia. You may not be aware that John Stamos also hosted last year's A Capital Fourth celebration. I was stuck at my mother-in-law's house, and she doesn't exactly get a ton of channels, so we watched. 2 points. One, the horrifying Mike Love and his version of the Beach Boys appeared without, of course, any of the actual talent. It wasn't good. I gave him a TK salute on behalf of all of the Wilsons. 2, but the crowning achievement was the appearance of the Four Tops, such as they are now. There's one original member, and it ain't Levi Stubbs, who is no longer signing.
No.
From the dancing, it appeared that they had been introduced to each other backstage 5 minutes earlier. God bless America. Matt in Pearl, Mississippi. I have a wide array of Russell Westbrook memorabilia. Would you like to see it?
That's an evil email.
Wow.
Andrew Ross in Tucson, Arizona. I stopped at Safeway on the way home from the office tonight. The middle-aged man 2 in front of me in the checkout line was offered his Monopoly pieces by the cashier. He responded, "No, that's okay." He turned to the woman in front of me and said, "Unless either of you would like them." I immediately exclaimed, "Why, yes, I'll take them." Not wanting him to think I was lame enough to spend my time playing Safeway Monopoly. I quickly explained that they were not really for me, but also not wanting him to think that I was weird enough to be sending these off to a podcast and TV host in Washington, D.C. I quickly conjured up the explanation that once a month I would mail my father pieces, and he would get so excited each and every time. I felt like such a dope. I hope I make Dr. Tony rich again. From Jerry Bauer in Fallon, Missouri, right? Fallon, Missouri. They say absence makes the heart always. I think I may have one of the Monopoly pieces you are missing. I have the shoe, the iron, and the race car. No. I had given the top hat away a few months ago, so I apologize if that's the one you need. You can just reply back to me with the one that fills out your board, and I will send it. They say absence makes the heart grow fonder. If Mr. Saliza could take a year off your podcast, that might help his innocent listeners.
Need more than a year.
Sunny and 70 today, but don't tell Michael he has too much on his plate. Please read my name as my brother bet me $20 I could not get my name mentioned on your show.
How about that?
Jerry Bauer.
Laughing to keep
From Kevin
crying.
Cohen in Oak Park, Illinois. Your story about being stranded in the airport with a baby for a full additional 25 minutes brought back grand memories of me being stuck at Raleigh, Durham with my 15-month-old son. We were traveling back to Long Island to visit my siblings and dad while my wife was on a 2-week trip in Belize with her Duke Business School classmates. There was a major thunderstorm with high winds in the New York metropolitan area. So we waited hour after hour for a total of 11 hours with me chasing my firstborn around the airport, spending gobs of money on fresh fruit to feed him, and trying to get him to nap on the waiting room seats outside the gate, only to have the flight canceled outright. I'd had enough at this point, both of the airlines and of being a parent, that we were getting our bags from baggage claim to head home. I didn't even attempt to stop my son from climbing on the baggage claim carousel and taking a ride around with the bags. Michael was not even close to that with Bootsy, but in the future it may happen. If you're out on your bike tide, everyone, as always, do wear white.
Stop the hammering. Stop the hammering out there. Who's got a hammer?
I will call
Where is
Phil
it?
Griffin.
Where's the hammer?
Is it here?
Is it on the? Go up on the other floor. Somebody go up there and stop the hammering. Stop the hammering.